I do want to bring you to a big story that we have been following here over the past 24 hours or so as we received this statement from President Trump related to the Venezuelan airspace. He said, to all airlines, pilots, drug dealers, and human traffickers, please consider the airspace above and surrounding Venezuela to be closed in its entirety. Thank you for your attention to this matter. That, of course, leaving a lot of questions about exactly what all of that means. Now, we also have this live look that is coming in from FlightRadar24.com as we know that international airlines began canceling last week flights to Venezuela after the Federal Aviation Administration told pilots to be cautious flying around the country because of heightened military activity. Now, this is the live flight radar just 24 hours after that post from President Donald Trump. Right now, I do want to bring in a friend of the show to discuss really what all of this means. We do have Matthew Wiz Buckley, retired Navy FA-18 fighter pilot, Top Gun grad, and founder of No Fallen Heroes Foundation. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us this morning.
Good morning, Josh. Thanks for having me.
All right, so first off, the big question I do want to ask you here is really what this statement from President Trump, as someone who has flown planes there, what it means to pilots and other folks.
Well, the first thing it means, Josh, obviously, is stay away. It means most likely that offensive combat operations are about to take place. So you don't want any civilian aircraft flying near any potential hostile fire zone. I remember in Trump's first presidency, the Iranians started lobbing a bunch of missiles at our forces in Iraq, and we retaliated, and they ended up shooting down one of their own airliners. So Iranian air defense actually shot down an Iranian airliner. Sadly, that Malaysian Airlines flight was shot down in Ukraine by most likely Russian forces. So civilian airliners, civilian air traffic around a combat zone equals potential trouble. So obviously the president's going out of his way to just say, hey, stay away. It's dangerous.
And what we're looking at right now, as I mentioned, is FlightRadar24.com. It does show a live look at the flights over Venezuela. You can see there are, it appears, a few of them there. Do we have any idea if this is normally what we'd see, if we'd see more flights over Venezuela, if not for the comments from the FAA and from President Trump?
Oh yeah, absolutely, Josh. You can see to the west of Venezuela, it's crowded. That highway over to the left side's very crowded right now because there should be a lot more traffic flying over Venezuela down towards Brazil and some of the other South American countries, and it's a ghost town over there. And the little traffic that you do see most likely is our intelligence aircraft, if they even have their transponder on and reporting.
When we look at this, safety, logistical concerns, what would pilots have to consider if they were looking to travel over Venezuela after these comments?
Well, they wouldn't. So there is absolutely, even Russia or Iran or countries that are still buddy with Venezuela, they would not be flying their aircraft over there. It would be potentially suicide. Because as you know, we've seen in media reports recently, Venezuela is on edge. I saw some clips of their military shooting into the water, ready to propel an invasion. So they're on a hair trigger right now. So they've been flying just ancient F-16s in videos that I've seen. They are a hair trigger away from shooting something down as Venezuela. So you'd be an absolute idiot if you decide to do any sort of flight operations anywhere near Venezuela right now.
Is this out of the ordinary to issue, the FAA, of course, as I mentioned last week, issuing this guidance originally, and then you had the post from President Trump that a lot of people kind of read into, and they were wondering exactly what that meant, if there was the potential for more military activity. Of course, we've seen the strikes there on potential drug cartels over in that area. You had folks out there wondering, is this an indication that things are going to pick up here? But is this kind of rare to see an FAA statement like this?
Oh, well, it's rare to see an FAA statement like this because this is in our backyard. Usually combat operations that we're involved in are overseas. It's over there, right? We're going to fight them over there before we have to fight them at home. So usually the FAA isn't, part of this type of stuff, but since it's right in our backyard, the FAA gotten involved. And you can see the FAA obviously got a little bit of a heads up from the government saying this is most likely going to happen. So the FAA gave our airlines heads up, like, hey, this is about to be coming. And then obviously President Trump, that's the ultimate declaration is, hey, we prepped the battlefield. The FAA put the word out. You shouldn't be flying around here. Now this is the final warning.
Passengers who maybe aren't too excited about this, maybe they had a flight that would go somewhere around this area and they're sounding off, no question, on social media, as people always do. What would you say to them right now?
Would you rather die? I mean, Josh, that's exactly what this boils down to. I don't know. Is your trip really that important that you want to fly near a combat zone and potentially be shot down? I mean, I just rippled off a bunch of examples. The Malaysia flight, the Iranian flight. Heck, Josh, I'm old enough to remember in the mid to late 80s, the USS Vincennes was engaged in a gunboat battle with Iranian gunboats, and a flight took off out of Bushehr for a short hop across the Gulf. And in the fog of battle, the crew of the USS Vincennes thought that was an Iranian military aircraft coming to target them, and they shot it down. We shot down an airliner full of civilians. The United States did. So, folks, do not complain about not flying near a war zone. That's just that really shows you where we are as a society, Josh. That hey, I need to get to my trip. I don't care if we potentially fly near a war zone. Bad things happen in war zones, Josh, and it's to be avoided at all costs.
That is very true. All right, Matthew Wiz Buckley, as always, thank you so much for taking the time to join us here and help break it down. Anything we missed, anything you want to make sure to add here before I let you go?
No, well, real quick, Josh, I'm not into the war porn videos of taking out these narco boats. I mean, they are narco terrorists. They are killing Americans. But at the end of the day, I think the president's finally arriving where I've been. Take out the leadership. These guys, I see a lot of reports that they're forced to do these trips, right? Hey, we just kidnapped your wife and kids. Go do this trip or we're going to kill your family. So even though they're narco terrorists, man, they are soldiers. So what do? This is when I channel my inner General Schwarzkopf or Colin Powell and say, you cut the head off the snake. So I think the president is finally getting to the point like, hey, these guys don't work for free. They work for somebody. Let's go take out the leadership. So you're starting to see us get a lot more serious about these narco terrorists that are killing tens, if not hundreds of thousands of Americans with fentanyl and their drugs.
All right, Wiz, thank you again for taking the time to join us on this Sunday.
You bet,
we
Josh.
Definitely appreciate it.
Thanks.
And you are taking a live look once again at flightradar24.com, where you can see most of the aircraft following those directions from the FAA and President Trump and avoiding that Venezuelan airspace at all costs.